Hello to our viewers across New Zealand and Australia. I'm Philip Duncan with your weekend weather update and the outlook for next week. And we've had a big week this week in Aussie. New Zealand's had a quiet week with the big high pressure system. Now we're getting a bit of a change and we're getting some of the rain from Australia. Not a lot of it for most places, although the west coast of the South Island likely to get a few downpours, while much of Australia is going to dry out. Although not so much Tasmania. You're caught up in the new westerly flow, a little bit like New Zealand is often caught up in as well. So you're going to have more showers coming through for you over the next few days. So we'll take a look at both New Zealand and Australia's rainfall. But to begin with, here is Saturday's setup. Mild northerlies coming into New Zealand. You've either got northerlies or nor'westers in many places that will push those temperatures up into the afternoon and the overnight lows as well. In Australia, a couple of early showers, but they get pushed out to sea. There's that westerly flow, and again there's Tasmania caught up in that windy westerly, the same one that will be clipping the South Island a bit later on. But for now you've got it coming through on Saturday with also the next stream of high pressure, and that's going to keep much of Australia dry as we go through the weekend. On Sunday, the high consolidates a little bit more as it moves in towards Adelaide. There's a slightly cooler southerly flow coming in around the eastern side of Australia, mostly dry. Can't rule out an isolated shower or two, and they continue on over Tasmania, and that westerly gets closer to New Zealand. But for now, Sunday, we've got the northerly flow across the country. The rain clouds continue in the south, and one or two in the far north, making it down to maybe about the Bay of Islands. We get into next week, and there's not a great deal of change in New Zealand. That slow-moving, patchy rain system moves through. There'll be a few isolated places where you get a good sort of soaking, but for many others, may still be a little bit frustrating that it's just not quite enough. The rain continues for the third day on the west coast, or sort of patchy rain and showers, whereas eastern areas, again, mostly dry. In Australia, that high continues to get stronger as it moves into Melbourne, starting to move out of the Adelaide area, and that southerly flow just brings in a few more showers up the eastern coastline, potentially as far north as Brisbane. Not likely to be very much though, not likely to accumulate to all that much. So here's the rainfall for the next 3 days, going up until lunchtime Monday. If you look at New Zealand, the yellows and the greens, we're really at the bottom of the scale here, or the start of the scale. So we're talking about a couple of showers, a couple of millimetres, up to maybe 10 or 15. 15's most likely up there. And Taranaki gets a few extra downpours as well, caught up more so in that west coast rain. The blues and the pinks, you're talking about 50 millimetres up to about 125 millimetres. So there may well be a warning issued over there. But the dark blue and the satellite map that you see there, the satellite green, which isn't on the key, that indicates that the eastern side of New Zealand is looking mostly dry for the next 3 days. Over in Australia, you'll be liking the sound of mostly dry in the east for the next 3 days. Same 3-day rainfall for Australia. Look at this, dry. This is the green satellite map. Although in hindsight, I'm not quite sure why it's green, considering this is desert. But anyway, we'll have to talk to IBM about that. But you can see there are a couple of little showers. The blue, 0.1 to 2 millimetres. So I'm sure you'll be relieved to see that. Tasmania, that westerly wind, pushing up those rainfall accumulations, getting up to maybe 50 or 60 millimetres there, and the usual tropical downpours up in the north. So let's get into a couple more days of next week. Tuesday, we've got that rainmaker in the north very slowly breaking away. But here's the good news. If you need more rain in the north, we've got a weak low forming out here. So by the time we get to Wednesday of next week, another chance for rain in northern New Zealand. This may not be enough to really reverse the big dry we've been in for a couple of years, but it's going to be very, very, very welcome seeing that moving through. And at the same time, over in Australia, that high, no doubt, very, very welcome. Although, I've got to say, there's a cooler flow coming in with a couple of showers still north of Sydney up to about, well, actually really right up to about Townsville, caught up around that big high that's rolling in. That is all from me. We'll see you again on Monday with our next update.